Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras, here with ILTV's Morning Briefing.
United States President Trump's plans for Middle East peace have hit a snag. Following Trump's bombshell decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital, the Palestinians say they no longer see the United States as an impartial negotiator of peace. But now, Trump has just dropped the ultimate ultimatum, threatening to cut all aid to the Palestinians unless they come back to the table they just turned away from. Right now, the United States sends $300 million a year in foreign aid to the Palestinians. PA President Mahmoud Abbas's government is critically dependent on that money. But despite this threat, the Palestinians say they refuse to be blackmailed by Trump's ultimatum. A senior Palestinian official has accused the president of sabotaging the peace process in the first place by removing Jerusalem from the negotiating table, and, quote, now he dares to blame the Palestinians for the consequences of his own irresponsible actions, end quote. America's ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, has echoed Trump's position and remains firm that the UN resolution denouncing Trump's Jerusalem announcement was detrimental to the peace process. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has just given the first official response to the recent Knesset bill that's been passed over Jerusalem, and as expected, the PA is not happy. The new law raises the minimum number of Knesset votes needed to cede any part of Jerusalem in future negotiations from 61 to 80, a two-thirds majority. The PA is now calling the move a declaration of war. Abbas's spokesman Nabil Abu Rudaini said the vote clearly indicates that Israel has officially declared the end of the so-called political process and has already begun to impose dictating de facto policies. He added that they would go now to the international community and that they, quote, will not allow such plans that are dangerous for the future of the region and the world to pass, end quote. This move for the Palestinians is as good as confirmation that the United States is backing Israel against them, and that they need a new partner in peace, a position several other countries have already offered to step into, including Japan most recently. Late last month, United States President Donald Trump had a new tax reform signed into law, and it's not just Americans that are scrambling to figure out how they're going to deal with it. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convened a special session on Monday with several senior Israeli officials to discuss the potential ramifications that the new U.S. tax code will have on the Israeli economy. The new corporate tax rate in the United States will be reduced to 21% from 35%, but the rate on business conducted overseas will be increased. As many companies invested in Israel are American-owned, there is a legitimate concern that many organizations will be persuaded to re-register and/or relocate their business back to the United States mainland, which is very possible given that that's President Trump's stated intent behind the legislation. That being said, speculation that Israel will have to legislate reforms in order to compensate for changes caused by the U.S. is low, but Netanyahu has now instructed the National Economic Council to form a specialized team and conduct a study just in case. The team is due to make a recommendation within the next 30 days. It seems the battle for 14 12-year-old children to stay in Israel is over, as the Jerusalem District Court has now ordered the Interior Ministry not to deport them, despite Interior Minister Aryeh Deri refusing to grant them permanent residency status. The 12-year-olds all belong to families of foreign workers, were born in Israel, raised in Israel, speak Hebrew, and are now in the 7th grade. They are in this position because they fell through the bureaucratic cracks of a 2010 cabinet law that recognized children in their situation as permanent residents, and eventually citizens. Well, now the families of these children have sued the government, arguing that they've been discriminated against because of their age, since they are now in the exact same age as those who were given residency before them. But through the court's gesture, these children are free to walk the Israeli streets without fear of deportation anymore. Further, the state has been ordered to pay court costs and 10,000 shekels in attorney fees. The stream of bands making their way to Israel for concerts continues, as this time indie rock band Cigarettes After Sex will be playing at Tel Aviv's Barbie Club on May 11th. The group, led by the only permanent member, Greg Gonzalez, rose to notoriety on YouTube before releasing their first album last June, which is self-titled. Their hit song, Nothing's Gonna Hurt You Baby, was also featured in episodes 7 of both The Handmaid's Tale and The Sinner. Formed in 2008, Cigarettes After Sex plays ambient and dreamlike music reminiscent of a melancholic feel that one gets while lying in bed. So if you're one of the millions of fans interested in beating the crowds into the theater, tickets can be found at www.eventor.co.il/cigarettesaftersex.
That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.